Namaskar, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Teena Jha, you're watching Perspective. Following a high-octane electoral battle in 5 states over recent weeks, the people of 4 of these 5 states, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur and Goa, have reposed their faith once again in the Bhartiya Janata Party, while Punjab has given the mandate to the Aam Aadmi Party. In the process, both parties have set new records, demolished caste equations to a large extent, in fact, and also reinvigorated people-centric politics. Yogi Adityanath became the first Chief Minister in Uttar Pradesh to complete a full 5-year term and make a comeback for a second consecutive term, while the victory for AAP in Punjab means a first for a regional party to win and form a government outside its home state. It has also given rise to the possibility of the party taking another shot at having a national presence. In fact, a lot has been spoken about it since the results were declared on the 10th of March. While for Yogi Adityanath, analysts say the victory means not just assuring him a place in the political history of the most politically significant state of Uttar Pradesh, but also firmly placing him in the firmament of top leaders of the BJP. On the show today, we will try and analyze with an eminent panel of experts who are joining me on the program today about what they make of the election results in 5 states, what it means for the future of those at the helm of this victory, both in the BJP and also the Aam Aadmi Party, and the impact of the assembly election results on presidential elections later this year. And to discuss all of these aspects, I have with me 3 distinguished panelists joining me on the program. So let me begin by introducing them to you. With me in the studio is senior journalist Mr. Pradeep Kaushal, and joining us virtually on the program is Mr. Shekhar, Iyer, senior journalist, Mr. Prafulla, Ketkar, editor, organizer. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on Sansad TV on this special broadcast. Mr. Ketkar, allow me to begin the program with you. Well, in fact, looking at the results, it seems the BJP has completely reversed the meaning of anti-incumbency. All the 4 states ruled by it have been retained, and very, very comfortably. What, according to you, have been some of the biggest factors which have helped the BJP retain these 4 states and redefine what politics mean, especially in the state of Uttar Pradesh?
Good evening, Teena. See, each state has different dynamics, different political connotations. Even within UP, you have many sub-regions who have, a different kind of equations when it comes to the electoral outcome. But what has happened in this particular election is BJP has virtually defied all the, traditional norms of analyzing and understanding elections. Like, for example, in Western UP, many people used to talk about, this domination of one community and their voting pattern. BJP has defied that. BJP has defied all the norms related to the 5-year term and its impact on anti-incumbency. In all the phases, BJP has done well. But if you apply this in Uttarakhand, Uttarakhand was a tricky wicket for BJP, but still BJP has retained that. It clearly shows that the faith in the center has definitely boosted BJP's. Here, at least, Yogi Adityanath was a formidable state-level leader. There, BJP was on a sticky wicket, and still BJP has retained the power. That shows, one, the center's hold and the faith of people in the schemes and the policies, the delivery mechanism of union government is very firm. And all these states actually have given indication. That is the reason. If you go to the states like Goa and Manipur, in Goa, traditionally, the politics used to be North Goa versus South Goa. BJP has shown its presence all over Goa this time. That is again a change. In Manipur, it used to be hills versus plains. Now, BJP has made inroads in the hill area, which is a very Naga-dominated area. NPP, NPF used to do well there. But BJP has done considerably well there. So I think it's a new kind of politics where a credible leadership, delivery mechanism, with a message of cultural resurgence, these 3 factors are working together for BJP. That is what I can make out from this mandate.
Okay. Mr. Iyer, what's one common factor in these 5 states is that issues that resonate with people, pro-people policies and development have taken center stage in all of the 5 states that witnessed polling. And particularly if we look at the BJP, if I begin talking about Uttar Pradesh, it has been one state where caste and religion have been synonyms with the state politics. Do you think with its pro-people policies, riding on several Labharti schemes, the BJP to a certain extent has been able to breach the caste-ridden politics in Uttar Pradesh? And that has helped it to emerge victorious?
Well, Teena Ji, I will totally agree with you, because this is the first of the elections where you are seeing in Uttar Pradesh, after 37 years, a government is repeated and a chief minister is being repeated. This is a very unique when you consider Uttar Pradesh, as was mentioned here, is one of the most politically very sensitive state and politically very unstable state also, till the BJP came to power in 2017. So what we have witnessed today, this time, it's a positive vote. To get a positive vote in a state like Uttar Pradesh is itself, I would consider a great achievement, because what has happened is people have seen the kind of governance between 2012 and 2017. And they have seen what has happened between 2017 and 2022. So they have had two experiences. Now, unfortunately for the principal challenger, Akhilesh Yadav ji of the Samajwadi Party, public memory was not short this time. So they cannot forget some of the acts of commission and omission of the government that was headed by Akhilesh Yadav then, as well as the state of affairs when it comes to law and order, when it comes to real estate, land grabbing, when it comes to the security of women, when it comes to the quality of infrastructure. I mean, all those issues, that memory served as a kind of a disincentive to vote for Samajwadi Party. On the other hand, you mentioned about Labhartis, that is the beneficiaries. It's the first time what we are seeing is the Antodaya, which has been the core political ideology of BJP, which was expounded by Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji, which said that consider the last man in the Qatar or the queue. Think of him, last man in the sense, down the pyramid of an economic structure. Think of him and act. Something similar to which Gandhi ji said, whenever you have to take a decision, look at the face of the poorest person and then decide. So what we are seeing is a government that is responsive to the concerns of the last person or down the economic, the road, and then to start delivering on the ground. That's the biggest thing. Whether it was ration, whether it was implementation of various schemes, whether it is Jal Jeevan Mission, Awas Yojana, somewhere along people have felt that things are being done in a manner where nobody complained in the last 5 years that they were discriminated on the ground of religion, on the ground of caste, or in terms of favorites that only BJP supporters got, others did not get. A complaint that you would have heard frequently in West Bengal. So you can see that without discrimination on the ground, a lot has been achieved, though a lot has to be done. So what people felt was, yes, Uttar Pradesh has serious economic issues. Unemployment is a big issue. The plight of the unorganized is a big issue. But the question is, who will solve these issues? Who is competent to solve these issues? I think the people of Uttar Pradesh looked at these two questions and have given their answers.
Mr. Kaushal, do you think, is it this connect that the BJP is confident about, which will also get it victorious in 2024? Because I recall when the Prime Minister was addressing the party workers last night, he said that it was being seen as a semi-final ahead of the election, but the results show that the similar situation will arise in 2024. The other parties have a lot of hard work to do if they want to challenge the BJP. Is it the confidence which is coming from this people connect, which the other parties seem to have lost at the moment?
I would say yes. But at the same time, I would not negate the relevance of caste regimentation or the community regimentation. The candidate selection by parties, including the BJP, it has taken into account factors like caste, which is the dominant caste in a particular constituency. You have given representation accordingly. But at the same time, there are people who have defied that kind of regimentation to vote for the BJP. The sections which have by and large voted for rival parties, but large sections or substantial sections from amongst them have voted for the BJP, primarily because the BJP has delivered free ration, the BJP has delivered toilets, the BJP has given them all sorts of benefits. Ujjwala scheme has benefited people. So I think it has been a play of both the traditional voting behavior of people as well as this new phenomenon when the vote is linked to your performance.
But wouldn't you agree that somehow at least the BJP has begun to breach within parties, within family bastions, there are cross-voting. So the male members would be voting for, say, Samajwadi Party, but the female members who are the direct beneficiaries would be voting for the BJP.
Yes, yes.
Has that been observed in UP?
Sure.
And perhaps I think this gives the BJP the confidence. Mr. Ketkar, allow me to ask you about the future of Yogi Adityanath, because since the results have been announced, a lot is being talked about how it elevates his position within the party. Of course, it was a litmus test for Yogi Adityanath. The last time around, he was picked as chief minister after the results were announced. With him at the helm, this was the first elections. In fact, he contested assembly elections for the first time from Gorakhpur. And now a lot was riding on him. He has emerged victorious. He has taken the party to a massive victory in Uttar Pradesh. How do you look at his future within the party ranks, of course, one, and as a national figure?
Teena, I don't remember any chief minister first time taking over, though Yogi Adityanath had experience of, being a 5-time member of parliament. He had a parliamentary experience with him. But somebody becoming chief minister for the first time and symbolically connected with people with such a huge traction, where people on the ground actually accepted, instead of BJP symbol, bulldozer as a symbol of the chief minister. And especially in Western UP, where I traveled on the ground, it was clearly visible whenever we spoke to the people on the ground, irrespective of the caste or a community or their traditional voting pattern. They accepted that law and order has improved. They accepted that the perception about Uttar Pradesh that as a state of Gundaraj to investment hub has definitely taken place. They accepted that the COVID management was much better than the expectation. I'll just give you numbers, and there you will understand why Yogi Adityanath, as an administrator, had important role to play in this result. Of course, the center had given certain amounts, certain schemes, but see the delivery. When it comes to Uttar Pradesh, 2.4 crore beneficiaries of PM Kisan Yojana, 1.5 crores of PM Ujjwala Yojana, 7.8 crores of Jan Dhan accounts, 1.3 crores of Ayushman Bharat beneficiaries, 42 lakh houses were provided to the poor people. Nearly 5 lakh crore were the beneficiaries of direct transfers. Now, see the amount and the way he has delivered. I remember when, the people started moving from Maharashtra towards Uttar Pradesh, he had a meeting with 60,000 panchayat representatives within 24 hours through various, platforms, and ensured that at the village level, COVID management takes place. I think that, confidence that as an administrator, initially when he became chief minister, and even now as far as the media perception, especially at the international level, he has been projected just as a, Mahant or a saffron or a hardliner. But if you see in terms of governance, in terms of delivery, people have accepted that when it comes to law and order, when it comes to delivery, when it comes to infrastructure development, when it comes to COVID management, is the best person who can take Uttar Pradesh to the next level. And
Absolutely,
it will
absolutely.
definitely have an impact within the BJP because before few months before election, there were discussions about whether he will be coming back to the center or not. But now it is firm that this term is going to be and when Prime Minister himself went there and made an announcement about with the slogan of Upayogi, Uttar Pradesh and Yogi becomes Upayogi. I think that one slogan completely changed the narrative and gave confidence to the cadre on the ground, and that's why people perhaps have accepted Yogi not just as a symbol of cultural resurgence of Uttar Pradesh, but also a new development model of Uttar Pradesh.
Certainly. And a similar acceptance, Mr. Iyer, has also been seen for a relatively new party, the Aam Aadmi Party. We've seen how it has swept Punjab and wiping out a number of heavyweights. Difficult to imagine that the Punjab Assembly, Punjab politics will not have Badals anymore. They've dominated the political scene for so long. The Congress, which has ruled the state for so long, has nearly been decimated. How do you look at the prospects of a relatively new party, of course, the first regional party to now form a government in another state besides its home state? A lot is being talked about since the results have come out of the party now taking another chance at expanding to other states, of having a national presence. Do you think the party is ready to take the national plunge, or should it wait for a further a better time, perhaps maybe win in one or two more states and then it is ready for the national politics?
Well, Teena Ji, Aam Aadmi Party's electoral success in Punjab is definitely a big achievement for Arvind Kejriwal, who was seen as an outlier in terms of opposition faces. In fact, the other opposition leaders never considered Arvind Kejriwal as part of them. And in their conversations for an alternative to BJP or to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Arvind Kejriwal was never even included. If at all, Mamata Banerjee used to sometimes talk to him because she felt that she needed his help perhaps for her own ambitions. But after Punjab elections, what we are seeing is a phenomenal success of a party on the basis of what Kejriwal government has done in Delhi, which is largely improvement of schools and perhaps improvement in terms of healthcare at the mohalla level, that too not in all localities. And the third thing is, I think the freebies, reduction in electricity rates, even free electricity, water. And Kejriwal went to Punjab promising even much more. He has promised doles to women. He has promised more freebies. Now, you are asking about, AAP strategy to expand to the national. Yes, it will be very tempting for Arvind Kejriwal to try in Gujarat, to try in Himachal Pradesh. After all, Himachal Pradesh is a bordering state of Punjab. But I think since the expectations have been, have risen in Punjab, the AAP government will have to deliver at least in the next 6 months, because Himachal elections, Gujarat elections will be held end of this year.
Yes.
Now, the question is, Punjab is a very sensitive state which has a very precarious financial situation. The public debt is about 3 lakh crore. And in terms of revenue, what Punjab is able to manage expenditure versus revenue, it's only 51%. Whereas in neighboring Haryana, it is 67%. Now, the question will be, with having chosen Bhagwat Mann as the chief minister, now already Mann is coming to Delhi to discuss his cabinet formation. So, Aam Aadmi Party had promised in Punjab, the rule will be from Punjab, not from Delhi. But even the first thing, he has come to Delhi now. Now, the question is, can Bhagwat Mann provide that kind of leadership which can take care of these finances and address what I consider the bunyadi issues of Punjab, the broader issues of Punjab, which has been the crisis in agriculture. See, unfortunately, the debate over the 3 farm laws, it degenerated into about the sit-in by the farmers, and the Prime Minister Modi felt it was better to withdraw these bills rather than allow a situation which could be exploited by some anti-national forces.
Yes.
That is how the bill went back to the cold storage. But the factors that has caused this problem in Punjab, that was not addressed in this election. All that the parties were saying, because of the sensitivity nature following the bills, all they were saying is, let's have a law to have a MSP, that is minimum support price for all crop, as if MSP is the solution for all the problems.
Certainly.
Whereas there are much bigger issues involved, the falling water table in Punjab. These are the issues that were not dealt. The fact is, Punjab agriculture has grown by leaps and bounds, but there is no accompanying agro-based industry.
Okay.
Now, these are the real issues which the Aam Aadmi Party government is going to face in Punjab. And doles, some of the doles I do not know, because even the other parties, Congress as well as Kalidal, were questioning Arvind Kejriwal. You have promised some things in Punjab which...
That's right. Whether the politics of freebies is sustainable in the longer run is, of course, a question that is being asked.
So electorally, big thing has been achieved.
Absolutely. But Mr. Kaushal, of course, there are lots of challenges. They have won the state with a massive victory, but there are a host of domestic issues and also sensitivity because it is a border state. So there will be massive challenges that the party will now have to tide over. But looking at the situation at the moment, the acceptance of the party among people, the way it is aspiring to expand to other states, to have a national presence. In fact, party leaders have been saying it could be a Modi versus Kejriwal once again in 2024. With the scheme of things since yesterday, how things are panning out, do you see, because the BJP, of course, is very, very upbeat. In 2024, they are confident they are going to be winning. But if the opposition has to challenge, do you see the Aam Aadmi Party now in the front line among the non-NDA parties as a direct challenge to the BJP, as is being claimed by the party itself?
See, saying is one thing and doing is just another. Left to themselves, yes, they would want to be the principal challenger. Our leaders are already on the record having said that they would be an alternative to the Congress. Having said that, the first task before them is to stabilize their government in Punjab. It is not just a border state, it's a very complex state. And there are certain issues which are unique to that state. Mr. Bhagwant Mann, he is yet to prove his administrative acumen. So I think the first and foremost challenge for the AAP is to have a very successful government there, very effective government there. Number two, there is a problem of plenty. You have problems when you have too many MLAs in an assembly, because each one of them has certain expectations. So this 92-member legislature party may be also a problem, while it's an asset. So all these MLAs, their aspirations, their individual ambitions have to be accommodated. Now when it comes to the national role, they have already said that next stop would be Himachal and Gujarat. Those two states which would go to the polls by the end of this year. Now, they are not known to have any significant base in Himachal. Gujarat, they have made their presence felt to a very small extent in Surat, where in a local civic election they have done well. So, I think they will get there. They will also have more resources being in power in two states, but then you need a kind of electoral base there. Incidentally, they want to occupy the same space as the Congress. It is also common knowledge that the Congress has a very formidable electoral base in Gujarat. They polled some 42% of the vote in Gujarat in the last elections in 2017. They have certain weaknesses. Mr. Ahmed Patel is no longer there, their master strategist. But at the same time, Mr. Kejriwal will have this deficiency to start with.
But he also has an advantage, the lackluster performance of Congress party, the void that they are creating and allowing the Aam Aadmi Party to fill in. First in Delhi, now they've taken over in Punjab. And if similar situation happens, I mean, it could be some other states as well going forth, looking at their ambitions. But coming back very quickly to you, Mr. Iyer, the impact of these election results on the presidential elections, of course, it would have impacted in any way, but now it puts the BJP in a firm position, of course. How do you look at it in the longer run also?
Well, definitely in the BJP's numbers in the electoral college is going up, and the opposition will have to also rework the strategy. And we have seen Prime Minister Modi whenever, and as well as the BJP, when they choose somebody to become the president or vice president, there is definitely a social message. People have seen that the Prime Minister goes for a broader representation or for persons from those underrepresented communities earlier. So the speculation is it could be a woman, it could be a woman tribal leader, it could be a belonging to a community which has not got representation before. Because the message is these institutions of the president as well as vice president. Of course, vice president is part of the parliamentary system. He is the ex officio chairperson of the upper house, the Rajya Sabha. But when it comes to the president is a custodian of the constitution. But at the same time, when you have a person belonging to a section with the weakest section is represented sitting there, there is a big political message that goes. We saw that message in Ramnath Kovind. We have seen that message in several decisions that the Prime Minister has taken. Absolutely. So this is going to be very interesting presidential election. And this mandate from Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa, Manipur, gives that kind of, I would say, some strength to BJP and to the Prime Minister to make a choice that sends a very big social message to the country at this juncture.
Absolutely, and trust the Prime Minister to give such significant messages when it comes to moves like this. That having been said, I'll have to wrap up the discussion. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the program today, sharing your thoughts with us and our viewers. It's always a pleasure to have you on our program. So that's it from us on this edition of Perspective today. Thanks very much to all our viewers as well for their time.